Little Tony, what's up?
Todd Williams is making new friends.
A duck walk. Get your head up.
All right, who's next? Come on.
Good job, son.
Coaching for a week here at Mike Allstott's football camp, Todd Williams knows what he's doing. He's an offensive tackle for Florida State.
Dead height. That's good. You've been learning. Go.
Watching him with the children, it seems impossible that this achiever was once homeless and headed down a path of crime. Todd says the trouble started when his grandmother died. He was only 14.
When she died, it's like my life spiraled down here.
He credits Tyrone, CEO of All Sports and a former professional football player, with helping to turn his life around.
He's an incredible guy.
Todd says the belief that he could find a better life, a different life, was critical to his salvation.
God did a work in my heart. He changed my heart and the way I look at life. I didn't want to be like the rest of my family, end up in prison.
Today, he volunteers his time at Leslie Peters' halfway house, working with other young men where he once found refuge.
I want to help kids. I want to come up with my own halfway house. I have a story to tell. What I have to say is going to help somebody out.
I think Todd's story has awakened the consciousness of people young and old.
Growing up in the projects of Bradenton, Florida, Todd Williams never had much to begin with. And when his grandmother died and less than a week later his father was murdered, Todd Williams was left with nothing. He was 14.
My mom had her own stuff going on. I know now she was like in and out of trouble. So foster care people came and were like, we're going to give you a week to try to come up with some people who could take care of you. We're going to come and get you. And I was young, like, man, I'm not going no foster care.
And so he ran.
I just went to a friend. We stole a car and just went to Miami. Anywhere I laid my head, that's where I live. Whether it be in a broken door of a hotel, behind a dumpster, or in a car that I stole, or whatever. I didn't care. Start doing all sorts of stuff. Committing crimes, robbing people, beating people up, breaking and burglarizing people's houses, going to restaurants, saying we're going to order food, eat the food, snatch tips, and run.
And you never understood that that was wrong?
I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't understand what was wrong. I just didn't care. But at that point, I just felt that I felt like the world owed me something. And through all this, I was going to get back. And this is my way of letting it all out. And I knew it was wrong. I was just so bitter, and I didn't care. I just felt like the world had let me down because I was on rock bottom.
Wish I was too dead to care. If indeed I cared at all.
Williams spent months in and out of juvenile detention centers.
I had no grasp of hope. There was no light at the end of the tunnel.
But there was perhaps an unwitting glimmer on New Year's night in 1994. On his way to rob an apartment, he stopped to watch the Florida State-Nebraska Orange Bowl.
I caught a glimpse on TV, and I was like, man, I wonder what it would be like to play in front of all those people. Then a couple guys chuckled, like, hey, you don't even have a place to live, much less play football. And for Coach Bowden, you wouldn't even know how to act around them kind of people. Hey, come on, don't even dream like that. One time in juvenile, one of the coaches, one of the dudes that advisors, whatever, he was a coach at a high school. So I was like, man, I bet you if I got out of here, I could play some high school football. He looked at me like, man, they're not looking for criminals, they're looking for players.
But Williams began to think that perhaps he could be a player. Now 16, he had grown to 6'3".
I got to the point where, man, I'm tired of checking in the probation officers, going to court in shackles, begging people, mom, to come sign me out of juvenile in line, saying that they're my parents. So when I get out, I'm right back by myself from day one again. I want to do something.
Eventually, he was sent to a halfway house in Tampa.
And that was going to be his last opportunity to really get himself together before going on to the big house.
But even with new resolve, Williams faced a stark reality. When he was released from the halfway house, he still had nowhere to go. So Williams told his probation officer he would be living with a cousin's father at a low-income housing project in Bradenton.
But he never really stayed there. I just found some jobs, and I worked and paid the rent.
But every night you'd come home alone.
I'd come home alone, watch TV, play video games, read my Bible, go to sleep, and it's the same thing.
He also set out to make the football team.
He came out to our school in the field house before practices his sophomore year and said, "I want to play football for Southeast." And I said, "Okay, you got to have your paperwork in, and let's see if we can get it all together. We'll be ready to have you try out and see how well you can play."
When I made the football team and the coaches started telling me, "Hey, the sky's your limit. If you'll do this and if you'll do that. If you'll work hard, if you'll go to class, even after football season, if you'll continue to go to class and do what you need to do, this is what can happen."
Gradually, the community began to hear about the young man living on his own.
I know one of the teachers at his, I believe it was his senior year, and gotten some information out that there was a student at Southeast who had actually not an active family around. And so for Christmas, a lot of people chipped in and got him some neat things for Christmas.
She had orchestrated it to where I was going to be at this certain place for Christmas, eating dinner, and she had a whole bunch of stuff just sent there, like nice shirts, shoes.
He was just stunned, his whole face just lit up. He was like a little kid. I don't know why, why all of us were put in his life, but I would like to say I believe that his grandmother might have been in heaven and saying, "Take care of my child,"
How many people do you call family now?
Well, whoever's not against me is for me. And if you're around me long enough and I begin to care about you, you're like family. Because, what is family? That's how I look at it.